In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to pluck a middle part on a frontal wig, or really any wig. To start off, you want to find the middle of your canvas head. This is a GEX head, and I'm just looking at that middle line to guide me on where exactly to part my wig. I take that middle line on my canvas and I follow it all the way up, and I just T-pin it right in the middle. So it's dead smack in the middle. I'm just going to show y'all how I do that. I follow that line right up and I T-pin it to mark that is my middle part. And you kind of seen a line in the middle of the wig through the bag too as well. So I just take my metal part of the comb and I start that part dead smack in the middle. Now that I got my part in the middle, we're about to start the molding process. I take my Little Bit Collection wax stick and I just put that all over the hair. After that, I take my Fantasia spritz and I spray that along the hair as well. Get my Beauty Bundle hot comb, turn it up to 500 degrees. It's turning up, as y'all can see, really, really fast. And I began molding. But when I'm molding, you see the veins in my hand showing. That shows how I am pressing and gliding this hot comb down. I'm trying to get the lines of the teeth on the comb to show on the wig. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to repeat that again. So when I'm molding, I am pressing the hair down. Do you see how fast that just molded down in one swipe? And I'm pressing down. So you see the veins in my hand and my wrist showing how I'm literally pressing this hot comb down to mold it. Come on now, like, y'all see how quick that just molded with that hot comb. But anyways, you show the teeth. You want to see them teeth in that hot comb imprinted on that wig. If it's not imprinted, you need to redo it over and over again and again till you get it imprinted to be flat. Now I'm about to show you how to mold the hairline back. Before you even pluck your part, you should be doing this step as well. It's just important so you can see everything. I've already did the wax stick, so now I'm just spraying that Fantasia spritz. And I'm using the same technique, pressing that hot comb in so that I can imprint the teeth of this hot comb onto this wig. Quick side note, when I first started wigs, I did used to melt to lace, and I realized it was the hot comb that I was using. I was using cheap hot combs where you couldn't control the temperature and know how hot it was, and it would just melt right through the lace, especially HD lace. So just keep in mind your hot comb matters when you're molding wigs before you're doing your parts or when you're styling. Now let's get back into it. Do you see the difference in the molded side versus the unmolded side? It's people out here walking around with the unmolded side. Let me stop. But yeah, just continue to press that hot comb in all around so you can have a precise, sleek, molded back hairline before you pluck this part. And this is the same technique you'll be doing as well before you even style any wigs. Okay, now we got everything molded back. I'm looking back and I'm seeing that my part is not in the middle. So I'm just refixing that, making sure that the middle is aligned perfectly. And I'm pulling up my comb and I'm just pulling it apart to perfect that line. So I'm just sliding up that comb and pulling it down the middle so it can be a precise middle line. Anytime you change your part, you want to remold it. So I'm just doing that with my wax stick and my spritz. And I'm just going to go in and remold it just real quick before I even start plucking. You guys should be doing the same. You should be spending your first 10 minutes molding. Don't even think about no tweezers, no plucking, no nothing. Like, don't think about none of that. Just focus on purely molding it so you can make sure it's in the middle, everything's accurate, and it's no mix-ups. So now I'm just assuming my part is in the middle, but I'm about to show you guys another technique other than following that line that we showed earlier on the canvas head, because some people do unevenly pin their frontals down like I did here purposely. Another way would just be taking off the wig on the mannequin head and just looking inside the wig. When you're looking from the inside, you should see if the part is dead smack in the middle. Another way is just putting both laces together, like the ends of the lace, and folding it. I learned this method off TikTok, but just creasing it, and that crease should follow exactly where your middle part is. And now if you crease it and you don't see no middle part showing exactly down the line, like right there, then that lets you know your part is not in the middle, it's in the schmiddle. Let me stop playing. But yeah, this is perfectly in the middle. So now that I know my part is in the middle, I'm just going to start molding the back of the wig. I take my finger from where the track is and I make a line across, straight across to cover that track basically. Some people like this, some people don't. So, but this is my technique and my signature look. So I just make a line and I'm basically creating a T part. And that is basically me covering the track and just making that part look crisp before we even pluck it. Same products. Wax sticking it up. Then I'm following up with my spritz. And taking my hot comb and doing the same technique. Showing the teeth of the lines onto the wig. This next part, you see me hot combing that part up because I just like everything to look sleek and just neat. So I'm just hot combing that part up. Then I start to drag the part back down so everything could just go back flat how it was. Now that we've completely molded the wig, I'm just showing you how it's a T part literally in the back. Now we're about to pluck this middle part. But before we do this middle part, I'm just going to give you guys a little background knowledge on how I do mine. You see this grid on this lace? I follow that grid. I follow two precise lines or rows, whatever you want to refer to it, on the grid. You see how I'm pointing the two rows side by side? I take a T-pin and I use that to just glide it and find those two rows. So you see me taking the T-pin and just finding those two rows. And I'm getting that hair, moving it side to side to make sure that's in my two rows. And I'm pulling it. Yes, I'm pulling the hair. I like this method better because it helps you not over plucking the part. So now that I've got my two rows right there, I'm just following that same line. Going up with the T-pin, making sure these are my two rows. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, is these my two rows? Is these my two rows? Okay, I'm moving it side to side. I'm like, these are my two rows. But when I'm pulling the hairs, you have to hold it. You don't want to put no hole in your defined part. So hold that hair before you pull it. Finding my row again, moving it side to side. You don't want to grab too much hair. You grab too much hair, you'll put a hole. You want to just do a couple strands at a time. I found that those are within my row, and I pull it. Just going up again, doing the same technique, and I'm pulling it. Now, when you start off defining your part, you always want to double check to make sure, is this in the middle? If it's to the left a little bit, to the right, you want to keep just reparting that in the middle from where you already started off. So that's all I'm doing is reparting it from where I started off to make sure it's just everything is congruent, especially with the row. You don't want to start a row and then to the left you start another two rows. You want the two rows to be congruent all the way through. So I'm just taking that wax stick and remelting it down. I'm not using any spray this time because the wax stick plays a huge role in like loosening up the knot so you can easily pull it out. So that's all I'm doing here. Now we have a clear view of what we're doing. I'm getting that T-pin and looking. I'm like, okay, that's my row. Let me pull it. You could do one row at a time. If you're advanced, you could feel like you could do two rows at a time. Now, when you're doing your part as well, I'm just gonna say this while I'm doing this. You can do one row or two. It depends on my mood, but I really go with the two because it looks very, very defined and less wiggish. But if you want to just do one row, you can do that as well. So I'm just pulling that down. Don't be like me pulling it like that because you see how I retracted back. You can put a hole in your lace doing that. I just want to show y'all that. But again, find your row. Don't pull that big old piece. Do not do that. I'm showing no, no, no. Don't do that. You want to split that up if you got to, a couple strands at a time. Take that T-pin and make sure, okay, is this my two rows? This is my two rows. I'm going to pull that. And just pull it back like you tweezing it, but you're not. Now, let's just say you're using your T-pen and you're moving the hair side to side and you're just a little confused on where it's coming from. Just drop the piece and start back over. Don't think, okay, maybe this is it. No, you got to make sure that it's really the line, and your lighting matters. So, I'm going to put in the description what lights to use if you're interested, but your lighting matters. When I first started doing wigs, I had my man holding his flashlight on his phone so I can see. You need to be able to see these lines. That's why I'm using a white bag, as I explained in the Plucking tutorial. And as I was explaining before, if you need to keep just relaying your part back down with the hot comb, continue to do that. You need to be able to see everything. And keep in mind, take your time when you're doing these parts. When I first started, it used to take me almost 30 minutes to pluck a part. Not gonna lie. Okay, you gotta take your time. If it gets frustrating, just get up and walk away. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. This is just a technique that works for me. You can always tweeze the part. I'm going to show you guys that when I'm cleaning it up later, but I just like pulling it because it just gives me a more precise part versus over plucking your part and then messing up your actual middle part. You know what I'm saying? So I might speed up some of these clips because it's very repetitive, but it's really just me finding my two rows, taking out what's not in my two rows, and just pulling the hairs out. So I might speed up some of these clips because it's very repetitive, but it's really just me finding my two rows, taking out what's not in my two rows, and just pulling the hairs out. Okay, now that I'm halfway through the middle part, I always stop and I just look. You see those little dots? Those is left behind knots from when you pulled it. I'm taking my tweezers and I'm just sliding it down as if I'm plucking, like how I was plucking the hairline before. I'm sliding it down and just removing those dots. I'm not pulling it too much. I'm just literally gliding it as if I'm plucking the hairline on the frontal to just clean that up real quick. Same technique, cleaning that up. After you get done tweezing, you should comb it through and get all those left behind hairs. That's how you know you're getting those unwanted knots out because it's coming out and showing through the comb. I'm turning the wig around so that we could do the back of it. And I don't know if I said this before, but I purposely overbleached these knots to show you guys how to clean that up as well. Just a little freebie because it happens. I used to struggle with it a lot in the beginning too, but I'm going to show y'all how to clean that up too as well. So taking my T-bands, following that same row so that it's congruent all the way back, pulling away those unwanted parts that aren't a part of my row, and I'm just pulling those hairs out. The same as earlier, just taking those tweezers and cleaning up those little knots that just were stubborn and stayed behind. Sliding and gliding it as if I'm plucking the hairline. Now that we got the part plucked all the way through, all the way to the back, we're just going to take that wax stick and just remow everything down so that we can see how crisp this liner is. Now, after we just did our little product combo with the wax stick and the Fantasia spritz, look how crisp that part looks. Like, come on now. But let's get into fixing these overbleached knots. You want to get some Adore Jet Black dye and like a little cardboard piece of paper or something, because you're going to pour this dye directly on this piece of paper. Next, you want to get a little like edge brush or something. I just use the brush side of it and I dab a little bit of the dye onto the overbleached parts. And I'm just putting it on there. Let's say you overbleach the hairline. If you overbleach the hairline, use the comb side to spread that dye. So the dye might look like it's too much on there at first, but you're gonna see it's gonna all come together. And there is such thing as a dye pen and stuff you can get at the store, but who's gonna do all that when you could just get a little bit of color? As you can see, it's coming together. Overbleach knots who? Oh, okay. But yeah, take this technique and run with it real far. So if you overbleach it, don't feel like, you got to do too much to get that parting bag looking regular. Just put a little bit of dye on there and it's going to be up and it's stuck. But don't use no permanent dye. Use semi-permanent because we're obviously leaving that dye on there. You use some chemical stuff, it's going to take them knots right on out. So use the Adore semi-permanent hair dye. Okay, and now after you fully coated that dye and covered those overbleached knots, you want to take some Fantasia spritz to lock that in. This is just a method I do just to lock it in and just get rid of that little line of demarcation showing that you used that dye. See how it went away and it's looking like this is a part of the wig and wasn't no overbleached knots even to begin with. Look at that. Sorry, my camera keep blurring in and out this part, but look at that. What overbleached knots, y'all? Be for real. Here you just see me spreading that dye in the back where we did that T part just to cover those overbleached knots in the back as well. And following that same method with the hot comb just to lock everything in. And voila, you have a perfectly parted, perfectly plucked, not over plucked, middle part. Look at that. Those two rows just stay consistent all the way through. It just gives. I'm showing y'all from every angle. It gives. Thank y'all for watching this tutorial. Stay tuned for more. Bye.